A very pleasant evening to each one out there. I warmly extend a very warm welcome to all our dear viewers. Myself, Joya Khan, Ambassador of Change from Getty, and your host this evening. Heralding the dawn of a new era and holding the beacon of success, I bring greetings from the entire Getty fraternity, that is the Global Education and Training Institute, my dear friends. As we usher in winds of change on this live forum of detox for educators, I steer this session ahead as I warmly welcome our esteemed speaker for the evening, Professor Dato, Dr. Jayles Yeoh, President and CEO, AIMSMET, Executive Education Malaysia. He will be enriching us with his views and presentation on education, a system out of whack, a very important topic in the present times when the teaching learning process is evolving at a fast pace and transforming the very face of education. A little about Sir. His persona is full of credentials, as he has been an executive chairman of AIMSMET Group. He is the president and CEO of AIMSMET Executive Education, SDN BHD. He is the visiting professor of strategy, entrepreneurship, and globalization studies at the University of Business and International Studies, Switzerland. Sir has spent more than 20 years of his career in the fields of educational market, in the development of both locally and internationally. He is known for successfully promoting the Malaysia education brand across the world. His credentials further go to state that he is a visiting professor to College France. He is the adjunct professor of Global Branding Institute, the USA. He is professor of marketing by Beijing Oriental University. He is the honorary fellow of the Association of Business Executive, UK, immediate past president and chairman of the Education and Training Bureau of the Asian Retail Chains and Franchise Federation. He is also advisor to Malaysia International Exhibitors Association. Sir is also the co-chairman of the International Federation of Chamber and Commerce, USA. He is the honorary director, Southwestern University of Finance and Economics, China. He is also advisor to Malaysia Digital Chamber of Commerce. Sir, a very, very warm welcome to you, and over to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Jaya. All right, thank you. Greetings from Malaysia. We are about 8 p.m. today. And I'd like to start by sharing my slides. Thank you for the kind introduction. I look at the education systems that we have inherited over the years. A system that is, to me, out of whack, meaning that there is much to be done. Now, if we look back at the Sustainable Development Goals of the SDG, where many of us are familiar with, also known as the Global Goals, which was adopted by the United Nations in 2015, 7 years ago. The United Nations Development Goals is an action or a universal call, which means that it's a global call to action to end poverty and to protect the planet. It is hopeful that by 2030, citizens of this country, of this world, will be able to enjoy peace and prosperity. Can I have the next slide, please? Jaya, next slide, please. Can you share the next slide? Jaya? Jaya, are you still there? Yeah. So, according to the Brundtland Commission's report in 1987, what do we understand by sustainable development? It is a development that meets the need of the present, which is all of us today, the 7 over billion people, without without comprising the ability, compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So the sustainable development is about also the future. It's about what we prepare them eventually for the world. And if we all know, there are 17 goals of the sustainable development, which of course I like to focus today on a number of goals that is related to education. One of the many things that we understand is the SDG is about universal access to basic services such as water, sanitation, and sustainable energy. As we speak, many parts of this world, even in Malaysia, in India, in Africa, and some parts in China, still do not have access to water, clean water, and sanitation. And this is a call to action. However, we need to understand that to support the generation of development opportunities, we need to look at inclusive education and provide decent work for the global citizens of the world. It has to look at the ability to foster innovation and create a resilient infrastructure, creating communities and cities able to produce and consume sustainability. And at the end of the day, it is, in short, a better life, a better environment, and better economic growth. And here, I like to look at the fourth SDG, that is, ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And that's in the SDG number 4. In other words, no one is left behind. Everyone must be given opportunity for all to pursue education anytime, anywhere as we speak. University education, lifelong learning education is not just about Harvard, MIT, or about the best universities in India or the best university in China. It's about no one is left behind. And therefore, I love to share to all of you today, those who are listening, that we must have the resilience and the provocative nature and thinking to break down the dogma of traditional learning that I have put in black. If you look at the charts, the, the dogma that have been with us for generations and decades is that we need to come in with entry requirements through certain specific requirements that is needed by different fields of study, like medicine, engineering, house, business, information technology. And these entry requirements bring you through a progression, a 2 or 3 year diploma, a 4 year degree, or a 3 year degree. Medical degrees are 5 years, 1.5 years or 2 years of a master degree, another 3 years for a doctorate degree. And these are conferred by universities around the world, which is traditional. These systems that we have to go through the black has been created centuries. And sadly to say, many universities in the world, including the best, are still sticking to this for the purpose of elite and so-called created diploma degrees, masters, and doctorate. What I look at and what we are doing very successfully by my company within Malaysia for the last 5 years is to look at the red. In other words, we should be able to look at, please don't change the chart yet. Please go back to the same one. Uh, Jaya? Yeah, we should look at the red. In other words, we should be able to look at industry experience and prior learning. All right, look at required prior learnings. If someone is in Africa and if someone is in New York, there are two different types of people. Even if someone is in some part of the world, it is not able for them to receive the same kind of equality of education if we subject them to the same academic achievement to go to achieve a degree in MIT, for example, or in Harvard, or in Oxford or Cambridge, because someone that is in the very poorest part of Africa or in other parts of the world in ASEAN would not be able to be exposed to the same kind of ecosystem, the same kind of lecturers, the same kind of teachers, the same kind of teaching materials of someone who is studying in the city of New York or the city of London. And if we deprive them because they do not come out with the academic achievement that is carved in stone by certain universities, then they can never be a medical doctor or an engineer or an architect of the future. Hence, we look at that when someone is not given the same ecosystem and the same equality, and they are handicapped because they are born in a very poor parts of the world, we can look at giving them skill certificate and let them work, and then another 2 years later skill diploma, the one I'm speaking in red, and a number of more years a skill executive diploma, and eventually they can come back into an executive master's and even get a doctorate maybe 10 years down the line. And that's important. That is called recognition of industrial experience and prior learning. And in Malaysia and some parts of the world, in Myanmar, I have been able to do that. Similarly, on the orange block, if someone is already working in a corporate, and if someone has already been the CEO or the entrepreneur who has started a corporate company and the company is listed in NASDAQ, we can recognize them to different levels from executive, senior managers, and C-suite so that we are able to provide them lifelong learning. Please go to the next chart, Jaya. And this is what I mean by integrating the SDGs in our global education system. We have the leadership and institutionalized in the different module. We do research and refresh the curriculum as and put the context and the content according to the research project that are done by learners to support the SDGs as we have mentioned. We apply the SDGs into the real work environment rather than purely conceptual. In other words, if someone do not enter the dogma of traditional education and be in Harvard or Cambridge because they do not get the entry requirement as curry, they can go through the program in our learning and come back to university. And today, because of the advance in technology, the delivery mechanism is someone can study from any parts of the world, right, in a sustainable manner. He can be an Oxford student, he can be from a University Malaya student, he can be a New Delhi University or New Delhi student or Beijing or Tsinghua University without having to leave his country if he cannot afford to fly 20,000 miles, 20 hours away, 36 hours away, 12 hours away from the poor parts of Sahara Desert or from the poor parts of some part of Laos, Myanmar in the ASEAN countries. Hence, the advance in technology has been able to deliver the same kind of education, the same kind of lifelong learning that is needed for them to be able to be productive and contribute to the world if they cannot afford to fly to certain parts of the world. Next chart, please. Next, please, Jaya. No. The next one, not this one. Another one. And hence, not the stay in touch, please. Before this, yes. Hence, we are implementing a system that I call it the AIMSMET Global Education System for Sustainable Development. For those people, as I mentioned, if you come from New York, you come from London, you come from Kuala Lumpur, you come from New Delhi, you come from Beijing, you come from Shanghai, the rich part of the world, continue with the black. Continue. Go to high school, sit for your formal examinations, IGCSE, whatever you call it from the parts of the world, achieve the number of A's, the number of one, and enter into the proper medical degree, engineering degree, architecture degree, business degree, and hence you follow that dogma. You follow the traditional. Right? You go to Cambridge. If you're accepted, you go to Oxford, if you're accepted. You go to London School of Economics, you are accepted. You go to Beijing and Tsinghua universities, part of the universities that are top in this part of the world in East. You go to Nanyang University in Singapore. You come to Malaysia, my country, University Malaya. You follow the black. But if you do not belong to these people because you are at disadvantage, and I'm talking to the world, and I'm talking to many parts of people who are disadvantaged in India, many parts of the world who are disadvantaged in Africa. I've been many parts of Africa and some parts of ASEAN, the poorest country, which they do not have the same equitability and equality of the ecosystem. Hence, you are not left behind. You are able to still be conferred with skills certificate, diplomas, executive diplomas, masters, and doctorate, as long as you continue to contribute to the world, as long as you continue to come back to lifelong learning to different parts, while Oxford and Cambridge can reject you. But we will bring you through, and you may one day enter back to Oxford and Cambridge again. And that's my belief. And that's what I've been telling for the last 20 years. And here in Malaysia and some parts of the world that I've been, we have done that. Some few thousand students who are rejected by universities in the black, that kind of qualifications have been accepted by us, and we have taken them through, and they have graduated back into university. And that's what I want to share in these last 10 minutes that I have, because I was told I have 15 minutes. All right. So from this part of the world in Malaysia, all right, I've traveled a lot to many parts. I've been going to UK soon. I've traveled to some parts of India, many parts of China, traveled to many countries in Africa, and other parts of the world. And I've seen, and I hope I'm able to excite some of you who are funders of university, because we are talking about education. For those who are promoting this GET, because we are live streaming it, I do not know how many people are listening to me, but it does not matter. I do not need to talk to 1 million people. I just need to change one life, one people, for those who are listening to believe in me. And you can contact me. Please go to the last chart. Or you can contract to GET. You write to me, you will communicate with me, I will go to your country, and we'll see how do we benefit the majority of people, the many of them who have not been taken care of, especially in education. How do we bring them back to the rate? How do we give hope to these people so that they are still be useful, they are still be able to contribute to this world, the world that they live in, and not just be ignored and become nuisance to society. Yeah, as we speak, soon we will be about 8 billion people, not too far away. So do we want only 100 million people who are just able to enter into universities at the black? Or do we want the 7 billion people or 8 billion people to be educated with lifelong learning through various mechanisms? Do we want to create only 10 people in the world who are billionaire and trillionaire that control almost the whole part of ASEAN and almost the whole part, some parts of Africa? But I think we can create 100 million rich people who are like Elon Musk, who are like Bill Gates, who are like some of the richest people in India, and so on. And I believe education is one of the ways that we create wealth physically and wealth in our mind and wealth in knowledge, without which we no longer actually contribute to society. With that, I thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for that very engaging, very interesting, and beneficial talk that you presented through your PPT. It was truly giving us an insight into the long term goals, the sustainable development, where you very likely have focused upon the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. I think our students will be benefiting a lot if they've heard you. Our educators must be taking in some wonderful takeaways with the way you have, emphasized on each and every different aspect. Like you focused on the achieving goals, then you focused on benefits of the goals for the better life, environment, and economic growth. You also focused on education for everyone, everywhere, with no one being left behind. You also explained very beautifully about the breaking of the dogma of traditional learning. I think this is the need of the hour that we need to really incorporate and focus upon in our education system. You're integrating SDGs in the ages like stewardship, your research, your learning, and then your delivery. Implementing AIMSMET Global Education System for Sustainable Development has been very beautifully explained through a very proper division into different slides by diploma, degree, masters, and doctorate. Further, you move on to skills diploma, executive master, and professor doctorate. So, in this way, you have focused very beautifully, and I think our viewers must be very engaged in listening to you. And if at all they have any doubts, they are free to put up their questions here and I will read them out to you. Viewers are most welcome to put their questions in the chat box. I can just read out that they have been very, very appreciative of your presentation and they are congratulating you, finding it very interesting. And they have also said that they have been following you very keenly. As of now, there are no questions, sir. But I would like to just ask you, what are the various challenges in, achieving the goals that you have very rightly set forward?
Yeah, I guess it is not easy when you want to break down the norms. All of us have gone through 2 years of the pandemic and a war that is happening. Until and unless we are prepared to break the norms and to look at things differently, to use analytical thinking to create innovation, there will be no hope the way I see it. We will be continuously drowned. The poor will become poorer, and the poorer will become poorest. You and I will be controlled by more and more richer and rich people. The richer will become richest. Your mind, whether you like it, will be controlled by certain people who has propaganda over your thoughts. So what I want to say is that until and unless we free ourselves from these colonization of our brain, how we have been colonized before. Malaysia has been colonized. I'm sure India has been colonized too. And thank God to our forefathers, Mahatma Gandhi and the rest of them in Malaysia, we have freed ourselves from this dogma that I used to say, so that you and I are able to share ideas and so on. Definitely, there are challenges. And the challenge to tell people about is first we have to overcome. And if there are academicians who are listening today, irrespective of where you have graduated with your PhD or doctorate or master's, serving in universities around the world, if you are not daring enough to break away from the dogma and say that I want to teach people who are unable to come to the university, let's say the best university in India, because this is from India. What is the best university in India? This is the University of Delhi. The best universities that's ranked in India, Jaya. What is the university?
Can't hear you.
No, no,
Can't hear you.
the best university is in India. What is the name of the university now?
Can't hear you. Sai, can't hear you.
Okay, so I'm trying to say, yeah, until and unless, all right, all the people who are listening to me, that we are going to look after the 70% of people who are unable to go to the best university because of entry requirements. You hear me, Jaya? So if we don't do that, right? If we don't break down the dome, all right, and tell everybody to come together, this is the first challenge. So I want academicians to stay with me, to be in tune with me, to break this down. Second, I want the industry people, these are the challenges, to recognize that some people who did not graduate with the traditional degree or a doctorate, that he worked along this way and he learned by themselves, learn with the industry, they are as good as others. That's what I want the message to be clear. Okay, Jaya? Thank you.
It's- Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. There was a little problem in the network. I couldn't hear you properly. You can repeat your question if you want.
No, no. Now, can you hear me now?
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah. So I was asking you, what is the best university in India? Is it the University of Delhi?
University of Delhi, sir, JNU, IISC, Bangalore.
Yeah.
So
So
these
this
are one of the
correct. So
good
you
ones.
yes, correct. So in India, like us, you have the best universities that are ranked by a system that has been irrelevant to me. However, I do not want to debate on that. All right. However, when somebody in you have about India has about 1 over billion people. Now, if these people cannot enter into this university, we cannot label them as useless and nuisance to society. Someone in India, someone like us, must provide them the accessibility, if not equivalent, better for them to study a skills certificate, skills diploma, a skills master, executive masters, and so on. And that is the relevance of education. Education is not for the elite. Education is not for the rich. And that's my message. So these are the challenges because many people will disagree with me. Why is it that someone who wants to be a medical doctor and engineer must only be good in this subject that is determined by the dogma? A person who wants to be a medical doctor must have the heart to be a doctor, to help people, to save lives. Not because they score A's in science, mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology. That is not the measurement. Sadly to say, university around the world say so. If you want to be a medical doctor, to study in New Delhi, to study in medicine, you must be good in these subjects. They don't measure your heart. They don't measure your mind. Florence Nightingale, who was named as the best nurse because she cared for the people. Does she score A's in math, science, and biology during her time? I doubt it. So doctors, I'm taking these as examples, and India produced the best doctors in the world. But you have not really measured, are they really doctors that who care for people? Or are they doctors that are produced just by the certificate that you say so? Are they the best surgeon? Do they really come in it? Not necessary. So we have to change. And this is the challenge. This is the challenge. Because many blue-eye people, many people who works in all this university, the policymakers, the people who call themselves the vice chancellors, and this will never change. They will never change. They stick to their mind, and they will protect the academic circle. They will protect the medical circle. They will protect the engineer circle and say that other people are not qualified. I am against this kind of thinking. Having said so, I'm saying that that is the norm. All right? But if there is someone who wants to be a medical doctor, although he did not do well from Africa because he's studying in the worst part of the world, he didn't get A for biology, chemistry, and physics, and he applied for a place in University of New Delhi. You ignore him, you kick him out because of the system. You did not test that person on other merits. You forgot that this poor kid in Africa, from the Sahara Desert, wants to be a medical doctor, but he did not have the ecosystem. Hence, he did not do well in physics, chemistry, and biology. Is New Delhi or other parts of the medical ready to measure other part of this person? I say no. You haven't. No, you have not done that. You merely enter them by a system and say, okay, I see this, and therefore you are qualified for a medical degree. Again, I take this as an example, right? And that is why we will never provide quality and equitable education to the world as much as what the United Nations say so. The SDG say so. We are pretentious. We are not real. That's what I want the message. And that is a big challenge. I wrote my book out of bag, and I tell the people that is a big challenge. All of us are hypocrite. We are pretentious. We just want to protect the curve. We have to move out. We have to break the norm and tell these people, no. All right. There are other variables to measure. If you want to admit someone to be a medical doctor, an engineer, or an architect, for that matter, to be the best lawyer, to be the best accountant, there are other measurements, which I said, skill-based, hard measurement. We have to look at all these credentials and change the entry requirements and break the norm because of technology. You and I can now do a Zoom call just like what we are doing and speak to that candidate from Africa, from Sahara, and ask him why do you want to be a medical doctor and come to India, although your results are not so good. Did we do that? Have we done that? If someone has done that, I congratulate you. Write to me. Prove to me that you have done that. I doubt. You only look at the system. And here there is this poor boy who wants to be a medical doctor, who has been helping animals, who's been kind to people, and he has never have a chance for any of his lifetime because of the system. Whether he applied to New Delhi, whether he applied to Oxford, Cambridge, he can apply to the university in Africa, he will be rejected. He will never be a medical doctor, but he wants to save life. He loves blood. He loves to touch people. But what are you and I doing? We rejected him. And we say we are equitable. We are part of SDGB. All right? Quality education, equitable. Nonsense. We are pretentious. And I want everyone. I can only do my part. I cannot change the world. If Jaya believe in me today, that's good enough. Those who listen to me, that's good enough. And you continue. Because of the technology, we can continue to tell people and give hope to the 7 billion people. Isn't it good that there are more doctors who are caring rather than we make doctors like so elite, so difficult to become a medical doctor? Isn't it good that in our community there are doctors who have gone through the system? They may not be a very excellent doctor, but they are trained in the medical fraternity. They come back to us, to the country, run a small little clinic and take care of the health of people. Isn't it good? No, we don't want. We say, no, 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 no. Doctors are only meant for the elite. We have to pay $1 million $500,000 to become a medical doctor. Isn't we pretentious? I understand that it's not cheap to even study a medical degree in India now. Yeah, it's no longer that what we think so. So that's my message, Jaya.
Thank you so much, sir. Very, very relevant, very well made points. And I think they are so meaningful that I hope the educators all across the globe are listening to you very carefully. In between, I lost touch and I was not able to hear you clearly. But in the end, I have come to know that your main message to the world is that let us not be fake. Let us be real. Let us give chance to the people who are putting their heart and soul into their profession that they would like to pursue. Somebody who wants to be a doctor, who has, from within the feeling of service, within the feeling of saving lives. Let us truly give chance to such candidates and not reject the people who are having a simple mission in their life, service to mankind. So, whatever profession we are choosing, we should be able to discern how many people are actually worthy of it, how many people are actually putting their heart, mind, and soul into it. And let us give chance to the deserving people rather than, just selecting people on on a formatted basis that we ourselves have devised. So the mindset needs to be changed, the system needs to be changed. I hope the authorities all over the globe is are carefully listening to you, sir. And then I think we will be doing really good job for our future young leaders, be it any profession, be they doctors, engineers, or whatever. The person needs to have the feeling of service to mankind at every level. We don't want fake people. We don't want the people who are only there just to make money, but people who are there to serve mankind properly with a heart full of love and care. So that's our great message from our respected speaker. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us time from your hectic schedule. I know there were, glitches in between where you couldn't join, but still, it was meant to be. And such an impactful session has been possible because so many viewers, so many audience had to be benefited by you. Thank you so much. And our dear audience, I extend a big thank you to each one of you. And before I leave, I would like to read out a few compliments to you, sir. Uh, a, a viewer says, absolutely true. We should be honest and do things genuinely. Another viewer says, fairness and transparency is very much needed. It is the need of the hour. Means everybody is agreeing that yes, it is the genuine cases, it is the real people that need to be given footage at the right time, at the right place. They should not be deprived of the right to their basic education. So thank you so much, sir. Have a nice day, everybody. Stay blessed. Thank you.
Namaste.
Namaste. Bye bye.